First Warning MMA Report is joined live with Jason House via Skype. Jason is the owner of Iridium Sports Agencies, one of the top sports management companies in the game today. Jason, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So you're a former athlete yourself, having played collegiate baseball, and then you made the transition to being an attorney. How did you get into managing professional fighters?
After college baseball, I really missed the camaraderie that kind of comes along with being part of a team and being in the locker room every day. Having wrestled in high school, I've been around grappling for a bit, and so I just started Googling like jiu-jitsu gyms by my school. I found Team Oyama, that was in Irvine, only a couple miles away. So I had started training with Jiva Santana. That really was kind of what got me in the sport, really being around their team. Coach Colin Oyama really kind of took me under his wing, and working with them and training with them really helped, acclimate me and get me interested into the sport.
Are you still rolling at the gym? I know I follow you on social media, and I know you're there training and rolling with the guys. Is that your home gym still?
Yeah, Jiva is still my professor. He's still who I'm, he is who I'm under.
Yep.
Still, yeah, he's one of my closest friends, and I'm very grateful for what he's done. It was really kind of like good timing because I'd been training with him for a year. Then a sports agent that I was actually doing MMA came and talked to our law school, and it was kind of like perfect timing. And then, I kind of called him like 4 or 5 straight days and was just like, please let me intern for you. Let me get my feet
Yeah.
wet. And it kind of started from there.
So do you think it's important to have that JD background to be a manager at this level?
I think it definitely helps, just having that legal background just to help review contracts and kind of the legalities of things really, really helps a lot.
So you made the transition and started managing fighters. The name Iridium, where did that come about?
Yeah, I was interning at a sports agency through law school. Kind of had a falling out with their own at the time. He kind of didn't live up to a few promises he had made for me that I was supposed to have while studying for the bar exam. So by then I knew I was like telling my father like, hey, I really want to be in sports management. I just don't know what to do. My dad was like, hey, I think you should try this on your own. I feel like if you really believe in the sport, you think it's going to take off, you should really go after it. If it doesn't work out, you can always go back to that law firm offer that you have, and that'll be there for you. But if it does, you get to do something you love. And so about a couple nights later, we'd already been talking about forming an LLC and stuff. My dad woke me up one night and he was just like, man, you should call it Iridium. And I was like, Iridium? And I really wanted to go like an MMA based name,
Sure.
He wanted to kind of keep it more of a general, like a sports agency type name. And he kind of said, man, I think Iridium is really good. I've been doing research on it. It's like a metal doesn't bend or break. It's more durable than platinum. I think it'd be a good name. And I was like, yeah, great. Can we talk about this in the morning? And that's kind of how it started. He kind of wrote it on a notepad and we discussed it in the morning, and the rest was history.
Awesome. So, in my opinion, I don't know the numbers offhand, but you've put just a multitude of guys into the UFC over the last couple of years, and I think you're one of the best managers in the game.
Thank you.
Not only as far as like getting fighters opportunities, say on like the Contender Series or LFA, but really having a presence come fight week. I've talked to a lot of guys, a lot of athletes that you manage, and they say, having that presence there fight week, means something to us. Is that part of your philosophy as a company to be there for fight week?
Yeah, we really just try to be very hands-on. We believe in having, all hands on deck. And I think, on fight week, I think the fight week determines a lot about what happens inside the cage. I think it helps a lot with the fighter's mentality, their state of mind, where the stress levels are at. If you're able to be there on site and kind of alleviate any of the any situations that come about, I think it's good for camaraderie building. I think it's good, just to be there with them, bonding with them, and being part of these moments in their life. I
Yeah.
think so much work goes into a fight, that to not be part of that finishing product would be a loss.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for those opportunities. I feel like it's Christmas every fight week. I'm very grateful for those opportunities to be with my clients, to be there with them and their families, and to take part in those moments. I truly believe it takes a village to raise a child, and I think it's same as in the fight game. It takes a lot of hands on deck to make sure that fight week goes smooth, to keep them in the right state of mind so that they're able to go in there and perform on Saturday night.
Right. So how many fighters do you have in the UFC right now?
Oh, I believe we're around 60 right now.
Oh, that's awesome. So one question I get from a lot of guys on the regional scene is how does a company like Iridium scout for talent? Do you have a team that goes and watches the smaller regional shows? I mean, are you a guy that's hands-on doing that yourself? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, we have a great staff here at the agency. Jeremy Lukow and Lance Spotty, they watch a ton of regional fights. Lance attends a lot of the LFA events because we usually have a few clients in each one. And that really allows us to see what's going on and to see what prospects we like, watch them on fight week, see how they handle their coaches, see how they handle the pressure, see how they're handling the fans. We try to see, watch them from a lot of different angles. I don't believe it's just what occurs inside the cage. I always feel like talent can take you places your character is not ready to go.
Yeah.
For us, it's very big that we go after high character people. I believe that, if you have high character people, when their talent takes them to those high pressure situations, their character will shine through and that they will represent themselves, their family, their team, our agency to the utmost, highest
Sure.
possible. So with our group, culture is everything. We go after, the right fits for our agency. And I'm lucky I watch a ton of film. Jeremy watches a ton of film. And Lance watches a ton of film. And that allows us to recruit. Heck, Ed Cap, our PR director, he even recruits, and he's come upon some great finds for us that I'm very grateful for. To build some great relationships with some clients.
How can a fighter from a smaller gym that say doesn't have a connection to a Jason House, how can they get recognized?
I mean, to be honest, a lot of clients contact me on social media. A lot of times they contact me and we start dialogue. Or I've actually had some fighters when they're amateurs, reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'm going to turn pro. Keep an eye out for them." And I do. I go and I follow them, and then I'm like, "Hey, man, great job," and we stay in contact. And when the time is right, we bring them on board. But I feel like I got to shoot your shot. Closed mouth don't get
Yeah.
fed.
Yeah. So you have a plethora of, like I said, of talent in the UFC and even overseas. Once you get that signing and you have a client, is it hard for you to get the UFC matchmakers to bite on a potential client?
I feel like once you build that trust with the UFC, that you're able to handle the paperwork, handle the travel information, handle the visa and passport, do all of those key things, that they're going to keep coming back to you. I feel like it helps out a lot. I kind of look at our agency sometimes very similar to a college program, right? If the upperclassmen take care of business and do things properly, it's
Right.
going to keep those opportunities and doors open for the younger generation that's coming aboard, right? If they
Right.
have business, they're timely with their paperwork, they make weight on short notice, they put on a good performance, it helps open the doors for the next generation of people, right?
Right.
I know you very close to Pure Vita. Zach Otto and Rick Glenn were the opening generation for them, right? They handled business that gave Montel Jackson his opportunity. Montel handled business and that gave, O'Day and Leah. Leah got her opportunity, you know what I mean? So it definitely, they're taking care of their future generations at their gym. And that's kind of how we like it at our agency, kind of have that family feel, that family atmosphere, that we're setting up a good road and good future for our future classes.
Well, you just basically touched on my next question. So, here at First Warning, we cover, the state of Wisconsin mainly, a little bit in Minnesota, Illinois, and Iowa. Tell us about some of the fighters that you have signed in our region.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Pure Vita is a big base for us. I can't say enough good things about everything they've done for us. Just in the relationship, just like the memories I've built with Coach Jake and Zach and Solo and the team, Nick, all the fighters there. I'm just so blessed to have those opportunities. I'm sure Montel came and spent a month with me and my wife here, lived with us, and it was such an awesome time, an awesome experience. And I'm very grateful to have that relationship with them because I feel like the culture of their gym really aligns with the culture of our agency. But we have a lot of great fighters from the Midwest. I know you mentioned Minnesota. We're working with John Castaneda, Sean McFadden, who you obviously introduced me to. Mike Richmond is a Minnesota native. We have a lot of great athletes from those regions, and we're very blessed. Iowa, one of the first guys at Iowa was Paul Bradley. And it's a long-term relationship for me, and I love him to death. But yeah, we're very blessed to have a strong presence there, and I'm thankful for those opportunities.
Yeah. So would you agree that sometimes it's not all about how a fighter performs in the cage? Sometimes it's how they're able to market themselves, how they're able to talk on the mic. You can kind of like, business is business and fighting and winning fights is good. But the markability of themselves is almost as important.
It's very important. I think, I mean, a good example of that would be Logan Paul and KSI, right? Like
Right.
they marketed themselves very, very well, and they had a ton of eyeballs tune in to watch them compete, you know? And I
Yep.
think that even in MMA right now, if you're able to compel fans to watch you fight, I mean, that's going to move the needle. And at the end of the day, that's what people want to see. Those are the fights that are going to occur, you know? I still think you have to handle business inside the cage, but I think you're absolutely right that how you conduct yourself outside the cage can really help leverage you to get some good opportunities inside the cage.
So you have a lot of experience working within the UFC with Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard and Dana. What has it been like for you working internationally in organizations like ONE FC and Ryzen?
It's been great, you know, and ONE FC I deal a lot with Matt Hume, and he's been very easy to work with. Risen is with Shingo, and I've known Shingo for years back in the day when he
Right.
was making for King of the Cage, you know, and he's been great as well. You know, it's awesome to get clients opportunities to travel the world and fight in very great organizations and see some amazing things across the globe.
In your opinion, what is the easiest route? Not easiest route, but what is the best route for a fighter to get into the UFC? Is it the Contender Series? Is it the Ultimate Fighter? Is it just finishes on the regional scene? Tell us a little about that.
It's my opinion right now. I think Contender Series would be the most likely and probably the best route right now to get into the UFC. I think right now that's one of the main hubs to where they're signing athletes. Right, they usually sign, I believe, 30 to 35
Sure.
athletes a year from each season. So I think that's the best route to get into the UFC. Obviously, there's going to be short notice opportunities right along throughout the year that Sean or Mick will need to sign someone and add them to the roster. But I think even then, you've seen that a lot of those signings have been Contender Series veterans
Yeah.
that won and didn't get on. So I think being on Contender Series is really going to increase your chances of getting into the UFC.
Uh, in your opinion, a fighter that turns down a short notice fight on a UFC call or an opportunity, does that bury them going forward?
I wouldn't say that buries them. I think it depends on the situation. It's a case by case.
Sure.
But I definitely feel like you have to be ready when it's your time. I think you have to. I always tell guys in our sport, it's always darkest before dawn, right? Like the
Right.
opportunity always comes when you least expect it, right? It's
Right.
2 weeks notice. It's maybe after a fight when you've been eating for a few days. You always kind of have to stay on point. And I think if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. As
Yep.
cliche that sounds, I do believe that's true. And I think you've seen that this year, right? We've seen a few guys come in on short notice that were
Yeah.
ready. I mean, Tristan Connolly obviously sticks up as one of the biggest upsets of the year, right? I think
Yep.
the betting lines, and he came in on 4 or 5 days' notice and handled himself amazingly, right? Conducted himself
Right.
as a professional each way through and through. And I think if you're ready for your call, you're going to
Yeah.
shine.
So for any fighter that's watching this right now that's possibly looking for a manager, what message do you have for them, and what separates Iridium from the competition?
I think our message, in getting into management, or to get yourself a manager. I think for like just for us, what we're looking for people that yes, obviously perform inside the cage, but are great people outside the cage that conduct themselves in a professional manner, that are high character people, that are champions in every area of their life. And I know that may sound a little cheesy to say that, but I believe how you do anything is how you do everything. I don't
Right.
believe that you're a champ in one area of your life and then other areas of your life you're not a good person. You don't do things right. I think when you're a champ, the way you wash dishes to the way you train, the level of detail that you take in your life it's correlational across the board, and that's
Mhm.
something that we really look for in our athletes. I think that's one thing that we've prided ourselves in our agency is our attention to detail, our attention to communication. And I do believe that we've succeeded at doing that, and that's why we're having some success right now. But for
Yeah.
me, I'll be really honest with you. I think anyone can do anything right for a year or two. If we don't go on a Coach Krzyzewski Duke basketball type run, or John
Right.
Wood at UCLA, or Dan Gable at Iowa, or Cale Sanderson at Penn State, if we don't have that type of run of success of serving and giving to other people and helping athletes achieve their goals and dreams, it would be failure for us. Anything less than a decade or two of that type of success would be a letdown. I'd be at my retirement home. I'd be pissed off, one pissed off, grumpy old man. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, you talked about the path having to be more in 2 years. I think you're more on the Bill Belichick path right there. I think you guys are absolutely killing it.
Yeah.
Jason, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. You're a guy that I've wanted on for a long time. I appreciate you coming here and dropping some knowledge on us. Take some time and thank your sponsors if you have any that you want to give a shout out to.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that support us across the globe, and we're very thankful for them. A lot of companies, Miss Mary Jane, CBD, So Right, Virus, International Clothing. There's a lot of brands. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few. That's Jacob's department, but I'm just very grateful for everyone that supports our athletes. A lot of times there's a lot of regional and local businesses that support our athletes coming up that don't get enough credit they deserve. And I'm very grateful for anyone that takes the time to buy a ticket or to sponsor a fighter on a regional scene. They're helping someone achieve their dream, and I think that's what's most important in this world, right? In the day, it's about serving and giving others. I think that's why we're here on this earth, and I really appreciate everyone that helps our clients in any way, shape, or form to get them where they need to be.
Yeah,
and, I'm grateful.
I think you've certainly discovered your why,
Yeah.
and I think you've identified your talent and you're living within that talent. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I appreciate you being on the show. The best of luck for you going forward, and the fighters. I know you got some big fights coming up, and
Yes,
can't
sir.
wait for some announcements. So we look forward to having you on again.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care.
Bye.